indiscriminate. That is one bad farmer. Because that's not how you sow. Throw good seed on a path, to go throwing good seed on rocky ground and among the thorns. If I was the sower, like Meg, right? Or Pete, you know the ground. We'd be looking for the good soil. But the message today is not about really, I don't think it's not so much today focusing on the soils, but on the sower. And how indiscriminate God is when God throws out his message of love. Now, what is that message? He says, if you understand the kingdom, what is it? And I'm going to take today from the Romans, which there's two things that jump out at me in Romans. And one, the first line is, there is no condemnation. There is no condemnation. Anybody here ever feel condemned? Anyone feel judged? Felt? Yeah? I know. Young, old, we all feel it, don't we? And the writer says there is no condemnation in Christ. Christ has lifted whatever that is. And I know there are plenty of people who are feeling really bound by guilt and shame and condemnation. And the other thing in that passage that Paul writes in the letter to Romans is he says, the very Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you. Can we even think for a minute that the Holy God dwells in us? I don't know what message is going out there in the world, but it's sure not a message that says there's no condemnation and the Spirit of God dwells in you. How many times can we hear it? Children can hear it. The oldest in the room can hear it. You are not condemned, and the Spirit of God dwells in you. This week, the thing that has touched me most about these messages is thinking about our youth. And I say that because a couple of things have happened. The first was I got an email from my brother, David, who came up here to pick up my mom to drive back to Virginia after Mom went with me to Scotland. So he missed a funeral. And so when he got home, he listened to the sermon of the funeral on the web and then sent it to me. And it was a funeral of a 19-year-old in their parish who committed suicide. He had committed suicide because of a long illness that he had. And the sermon was all about there is no condemnation. This kid had wrestled with mental illness, and you can imagine that the family and his friends, they all felt guilty. What could have they done to protect him? And he also wrestled with his own guilt before he died. And the message in the sermon was there is no condemnation. You are not guilty. It is not your responsibility. You are loved. And it was a message that just set everybody free. And also for that young person. And I thought I don't think there's probably a person in this room that doesn't know someone who wrestles with mental illness, or with depression, or with addiction. And what does it mean to be told over and over a message of you are not condemned. You are, it gives me a chill. You are loved. You are accepted. You are free. I am with you. That's a message. That was the first thing early in the week that this scripture spoke to me, because I thought, what does it mean to sow, to be a sower of a message of no condemnation and Christ's power in you? That we as individuals do that we as a church do that. The second thing that happened is I saw online from the Episcopal News Service, I was following the whole week the EYE, Episcopal Youth Event. And it took place in Oklahoma, and there were 1,300 teenagers from the Episcopal Church that gathered in Oklahoma. Can you imagine? And they were there, the title was Pathways to Peace. And they were learning as teenagers how to stand up for people in their schools, if they see people who are bullied, or if they see people who are wrestling, whether it's because of their sexual orientation or the color of their skin or whatever it is they're wrestling with, what does it mean for you as a Christian person to stand up, to be an agent of peace? And I thought, these were these kids. And if you go on the Episcopal News Service, you can listen to the podcast and you can see, you can watch like the Eucharist, which is 1,300 teenagers. I mean, does that not like give you like, wow? And they're there because they, as Christians, want to say, this is how we want to live. The next thing that happened to me this week was, it happened before I went away to Scotland, but I got a message in the mail, and it was for my 45th high school reunion. Don't do the math, you know. 45th high school reunion. And so I couldn't go because it was out in Port Angeles, Washington, and I hadn't graduated there. I'd spent my first 2 years of high school there, so I was included. But I went to the website to see if I could find any names. Well, there was my best friend. Her name was there. And so then we began messaging back and forth. Well, yesterday I called her. And there are stories I cannot tell you. Because she said, yeah, I was with Julie and Havana, and we were always saying, oh, yeah, that Sue LaCrone, she was the one always getting in trouble. I'm like, oh. And as I picked up the phone, I thought, I remember the time when I was with Carol, we went to the movies, and that was when my father walked into the movie theater. Can you imagine? My father, an officer in the Coast Guard, walking down the aisles looking for me because he had forbidden me to go to Easy Rider because I was not old enough. And instead of, yes, Dad, I stayed the night at her house. Anyway, she and I had a good laugh last night. But the thing that struck me about my call to her is when I told her, you know, we were sharing what's happened in our life, and I'm an Episcopal priest, and, you know, my husband Episcopal priest, and blah, 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 you know, we've been in the church, and she's like, I don't have a clue about what your life is like. And she never went to church as a kid, doesn't know anything about church or community life or anything that we do. And I was just really caught off guard because I thought, wow, I live in a world where it's so much my reality. And I'm sure many of you, you know, in your work world, you are much more in contact with people who don't, because I'm with you. But what does it mean to live in a world where people have no idea? And that the message they do hear about the church is not one of no condemnation and Christ's power available to you. That's our lesson, guys. To be that message. We have that opportunity as a community to be that here now. Our teenagers, there aren't any teenagers here. I mean, David's the closest, he's getting there, but you're a ways away. I know it's summer, but we need to be really mindful of what our kids are carrying right now, what our young people are carrying. Because if our being a church doesn't reach out to that age and into the community, we are nothing. And so I hope that when we have coffee hour today, we'll talk together about what does it mean for us to really be sowers who are sowing out into the community these messages of there is no condemnation in Christ. I do want to close with one incident that happened this week. And that was that Margarita was downstairs folding clothes, which she does a lot in the evenings. The light was on, and she was by herself. And she got a knock on that door downstairs. She was a little hesitant to open it because she was by herself, but she did. And there was a couple standing there. And she didn't know what they needed clothes or what they needed, and they just said, no, we're just here. We saw your light on, and we just wanted to say thank you. We want to say thank you to your church for being here and the things that you do and just your presence in the community. She's pretty overwhelmed by that. Greg told me this, and I was just overwhelmed too, because it makes us feel like, thanks be to God, that might be a reputation we have. But the sower, when he scattered seed, 3/4 of it didn't grow. It was on the path, rocky and thorny ground. And one of the quotes I read was, if we are not failing as a church, then we're not risking enough. Think about that. If we're not failing as a church, then we're not risking enough. So what does it mean for us to be, because it's easy for me, Ray and I talk about this a lot, to like pat ourselves in the back and say, oh, look, the community thinks we're so great, and this good, and we're just doing great. No, we can never sit back. We can say thanks be to God that some people feel like we're making a difference, but we need to continue because there are people right near us that are feeling condemned and alone. And we have been given the most incredible message and good news that is. Amen.